Hello, hi everyone, and welcome to. I think this is the seventh stream we've had going. Hope you're all good. I'm going to say hello to everyone in the chat in 2 seconds, but tonight we are joined with Michael Durkan. Michael with a hat on. How are you, sir? Love it.
I'm taking the hat off now because no one's going to take me seriously. But I just have to prove that I do
Okay,
own
once
the
you had
hat
the hat
as
on,
opposed to.
yeah, you can take it off now.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm coming from the Kanos offices, so
Yeah,
hello.
so that looks like.
Yeah,
Where's
this
Nick's
is
be
Nick's
playing the
house.
piano in the background.
This is Nick's house. Yeah, so he's going to play the piano today. I think Thomas has gone home. So yeah.
Thomas seems to have left the building, and hello to Nick, hello to Chris, and everyone else
Okay,
who's joining
Chris.
us. For people who don't know you, Michael, give us a little bit of introduction to you, who you are, where you're from, and what you like getting up to, that kind of stuff.
Ooh, who am I? Okay, so hello everyone. So Michael, I'm from Ireland, as you can tell by the funny accent. Um, what am I? I am a recently anointed Microsoft Azure MVP.
Congrats.
Work for Avanade as a cloud architect. Um, and yeah, I'm in the last couple of years, as we'll talk about, after 20 years of laziness, 25 years of laziness, I finally started to enjoy and get interested in tech and kind of think, yeah, I could actually, do something here. And, yeah,
So
that's
you
me.
say 25 years of laziness. What do you mean by that?
Um, so 25 years of laziness, and you have to go all the way back to the very start, back to my school days when
Right, let's
I
do that then.
wasn't the most. Well, let's do that. I wasn't the most interested student, let's say, and I was one of those let's just do enough to get by, as we all were in school,
Yeah,
at that
100%.
time, and I come from one of those eras where everyone hated school, whereas now everyone
Mm-hmm.
loves it and thinks it's the
Mm-hmm.
greatest place in the world, and I'm kind of go, why? How is that possible at this stage, right? But no disrespect to all my old teachers, I all really like you and respect you and all that, but I didn't like school. And then
Yeah.
there was a lot of didn't like school. And my kind of introduction to the tech world was in school because I didn't really
Yeah.
know what I wanted to do. And like most 15, 16-year-old boys in Ireland, we wanted to do something. We wanted to be an electrician, or we wanted to be a carpenter, or we wanted to be an engineer or something like that. So I didn't want to be an accountant because I knew that I would have to study really hard to be an accountant.
Same.
Now I'm sorry,
Same.
I didn't study harder to be an accountant, but yeah, so engineering, technical drawing, technical graphics.
Technical
Okay,
drawing.
that's
Yeah,
where I,
that's.
yeah, and I come from, and you're going back to 94, 95 here, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going back to when, you know, MS DOS, Windows 3.1, and AutoCAD. And AutoCAD was the big thing in the tech drawing world at that stage. And I remember being in, an engineering room in school where we had, all of these like vices and,
Uh-huh.
metal cutting blades and lathes and
Same.
drills and all this sort of thing, and slap bang in the middle there was 4 computers that were all running AutoCAD. And my first time sitting down in front of a computer, you
Was
know
that?
doing AutoCAD, doing that, drawing and whatever else, and that's kind of hooked me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Never really played with computers or
Yeah.
electronics or anything like that when I was growing up, and that's what kind of dragged me in. So, and then of course, the concept of, my drawing is on this computer, and it's like, no, it can
Mm-hmm.
be over here on this one instead. I was like, how does it do that?
How does
It's like,
that work?
it's called a network.
How
What?
does networking work?
How does that work? And yeah, and this was around the time, I suppose, you have to think that, computers and technology, it wasn't mainstream. We weren't all
Yeah.
going off and buying,
Yeah.
computers, and everyone had, I've got about 15 computers in my house, and laptops and servers and bits and bobs or whatever. But in those days, it was like, no, it was down to things like manufacturing and stuff like that. And hey, Alan,
Hi, Alan.
um, so that's what got me into it. And when I eventually made the transition to college, I made the transition into an IT course. So I went off to college, and I went off to do a college course. And you're going to laugh at this because I liked the name of it and how it sounded, right? So I went off to college to do networking and optical physics. That
Oh,
was the course, right? And that optical physics was, of course, fiber. and
Yes.
light down a fiber and all that sort of thing. And there was loads of electronics and bits and bobs, and that got me into things like C and Visual Basic Programming and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so yeah, and from there it just happened. But obviously, because I was lazy, because I was incredibly lazy, I was lazy at school, I was lazy in college, I did just enough to get by.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up working in an IBM call center, right? Talking to Americans at night, telling Americans over the phone how to open their Think Center and how to unscrew a hard drive and how to reinstall operating systems. And you're going back to, like, you know, IBM OS 6 and all that sort of, you know, crazy. This is even before Windows. I'm older, Gregor. I would say we're probably around the same vintage.
46. Let's have an age competition. Are you older than 46?
I'll be 45 in a few months' time.
Oh, so I'm older than you then.
We're the same vintage, Gregor. We remember, yeah.
Just from what you were saying about school, I was like, yep, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. So and literally, and it was interesting listening to Nick talking here the other night when he was saying about, like, you know, his path starting. I started, you know, I didn't even start in the help desk. I started in a call center and moved my way up into a help desk.
Well, that's impressive. That's an impressive journey.
Yeah.
You can't be that lazy now. Or
yeah, but I think, yeah, but I suppose with that, you know, how will I put it? Because I was lazy, I was one of these people who always, I'll admit this to myself, I was one of these guys who, I got to a certain point, I got bored, I didn't want to move to the next level, and I moved on to something else. But
I think there's loads of people like that.
There's something else invariably involved me moving up the ladder, sort of thing. And I kind of got to, so I got to a point then where I was working on a help desk for about 6 or 7 years. And yeah, I was about 6 years working on the help desk. And eventually I started doing exams and started doing, so I did the 2003 MCSE. No.
Oh, nice.
I did the 2000 MCSE, did 2003 MCSA, and then I did the Exchange 2003 add-in, because at that point, the company I was working for were using Novell NetWare and Lotus Notes, and they were transitioning over. So yeah, listen, we're talking about stuff that any of the younger generation here don't know.
Like Lotus Notes.
Guys like Chris Wright who are on the stream here, they don't know anything about this, the world that we used to live in.
Quick question: are you doing these exams to get out of that role, or is someone asking you to do these exams, or are you doing that on your own back?
So a bit of one and a bit of three. I'm doing these exams to try and advance myself. At the minute, company I was in, big insurance company, and they were getting kind of swallowed up by a bigger insurance company. So there was opportunities there. I know Alan NetWare. Ooh, yeah, I probably still have the install discs somewhere if you really want
all 27 of them.
127 of them. But yeah, there was that, and there was, you know, so it was me trying to get out, you know, and it was an interest as well. It was kind of like, okay, I need to skill up. I need to think about me, because we'd just been through the whole Y2K bug.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, there was that as well. And that kind of, you know, got me a bit in depth into other stuff. So yeah,
you probably need to explain the Y2K bug to like Nick. I didn't even know what that is.
To Nicholas Chang. Yeah. I'll explain it to him next time I see him.
He's on. He's you know.
Oh, he's on. Yeah. Computer systems years ago, Nick, couldn't do 4 numbers. They could only do 2. That's basically it. And couldn't change from 1999 to Oh, but so yeah, there was like loads in that, and you know, it kind of it just caught my interest, and I caught the exam bug for a couple of years.
Right.
Okay, of trying to, because I was trying to get involved in, you know, this Novell to Active Directory migration, and what was this magical Active Directory tool, and you know, and look, I remember back then, and you probably remember this as well. Like, you know, they were monsters of exams. They really were.
Yeah.
You know, you had a book about that thick, like bigger than my head, that you had to learn. And that was 1 out of 7 exams that you had to get. And then if you went off to do, they were tough exams. Yeah, they were very tough exams. So from there, how it worked out there was I was looking, the teams were kind of splitting up and streamlining, and I was looking to get into a server operations team, and I didn't get in. I got into a
Right.
workstation operations team instead.
Okay.
But the exams gave me enough to go off and get my first sysadmin role. Okay, so off I went. But at the same time, right, and this is what I'm talking about, the laziness here, I wasn't
Mm.
really pushing myself. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And I kind of, I was, I I'm one of these people who, if I see something, I understand it. If
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
were to show me something, if you
Yeah.
do a demo, or if I go to one of your streams now,
Visual.
I'll understand it. I'll go off and do it myself. If I'm reading it out of a book or trying to do it
Yeah.
that way, not really,
So
not so much.
I always make that analogy. I can never say that word. You could learn
Yeah,
to fly a plane by reading a book, right? But see if you sat in the cockpit, good luck, because you're never going to take the plane. You're never going to take off because you've read it. The book doesn't mean you can do it. So yeah, I always use
yeah,
that as an analogy. Yeah.
yeah, and you see it on these these horrible things, these air crash investigation or whatever they call, like, where all of a sudden they're reaching for the manual and like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, okay, right, yeah,
That's a worrying.
that's the worrying thing, but
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
we're not flying planes or launching space shuttles here, I'm certainly not. But yeah, I was still coasting. I was still very much coasting and just doing enough to get by. Okay, and that
Yep.
went on for a long time. Had a few personal things that went on in my life. Had a bit of personal tragedy in my life, which I won't get into, obviously. But yeah, look, you always feel like you waste a couple of years, and you
Yeah. Yeah.
always look back with a bit of hindsight to say, could I have done
Yep.
more? Could I have done
Yeah.
better?
Absolutely.
It's always when you like, it's like when you go to another job and you look back on the other job when you'd learned something, you was like, God, I could have done that much better there. I could have done
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah.
All that sort of thing.
That's a good
Yeah.
thing, though.
Yeah.
That's a good
Oh,
thing
it is a
because
good
you've
thing.
learned something.
Absolutely. You learn
Yeah.
something. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
learn the right way to do it. And maybe it was the wrong way you were
Right.
doing it or a different way of doing it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. But my awakening was COVID, basically,
COVID. Right. I was going to
because
ask you what point did the kind of light bulb go
yeah,
off? COVID. Right. Okay.
the light bulb went off. So I was one of these guys, right? Okay, I'm telling you a lot about myself here, right? You could hold me over a barrel with this. Basically, it's like, this is like it's like a psychiatrist chair I'm in
Don't
here,
worry.
right?
Someone
And I'll tell
recorded
you,
this. I mean,
I'll go back to that couch back there. I'll just lie down and we'll chat.
Nick will start playing a
but,
tune.
put me to sleep. Um, I was one of these guys who, I always had my tech with me. My phone was my alarm clock.
Yep.
I would bring my phone to bed. I'd be scrolling on the phone. And when you're scrolling on the phone and Google's doing these suggestions for you, and you're going into these
Mm-hmm.
articles and you either bookmark them or you email them to yourself. I said, that's a great idea, right? God, that's brilliant. I'm going to go back and look at that. I never did, right? So, I had like thousands of these bookmarks and emails. If I go back in my email, look at my emails that I've sent to myself with stuff that I could have done. And
Did
that's
you
like
read
a lot
any
of
of them?
people.
Did you
You,
read any of them?
you read them, right?
But you don't do
And
it.
then you think, that's interesting. I must do that, or I must do that and work with it. Of course, you get into work the next morning, and there's a
Yeah.
fire hose, the server on fire in the corner. 6 disks in a 24 disk cluster have failed, and you forget about stuff, and you go like that. I've worked in those sorts of companies, right?
My iPhone
But
is full of notes. Notes.
yeah,
Thousands
yeah,
of notes I've never read. Never went
yeah,
back to.
yeah. So, and I was coming up to around 2000. I had heard that the MCSA exams were retiring, right? And I hadn't
Yeah.
done exams for years, and I was always kind of, I took about a 10-year hiatus from exams
Mm-hmm.
out of pure laziness because I didn't want to put myself under any pressure. And I was, MCSA exams. It's like, right, okay, I'm gonna
Upgrade.
bookmark that. I'm going to bookmark that, and I'm going to put it away over there, and I'll come back to it in a couple of days' time, because that's what I'll do. I'll scroll down and I'll find it, because you never do, because you've got a mountain of stuff in there that you keep sending to yourself, right? This is the way I operated. This is my
Lots of
filings
people
this way.
operate like this. Trust me.
Yeah. But I went to my brother's wedding in Melbourne in Feb 2020. Okay. And that was when the whole thing was all kind of kicking off, right?
Yeah.
I remember sitting in Melbourne airport, and the flight was delayed for a couple of hours. I was sitting there and I was bored, and I'd had my Burger King or whatever it's called over there, and I was sitting, waiting to take off and all this sort of, like, right, I'm not going for another lap around duty free because everyone over here is asleep and, go away, don't call me now. So I started going through and started looking through and found this bookmark, this email again about MCS. I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to actually do that. So I sat down, got home, got home from Australia, and 5 days after I got home, we went into lockdown.
Oh.
Okay. So again, I've done nothing with the original, thing that I've saved. Yeah. And got home into lockdown. Kids are at home from school. We're adjusting to life, whatever else. And like everyone did at that time, what do? Started watching Netflix because
Netflix,
what else are you going to do, right? Yeah. So after about 3 weeks, I got very, very bored of Netflix, right? Spending far too much time with my wife and kids for my own good. Never spent this much time before.
Finished
right?
Netflix.
So I retreated back, and I just, and yet again, I found this email, right? And I said, right, okay. It was in the back of my mind. So, okay, let's just do something. Let's just do this. So I did my MCSA and MCSE from home. And then I did then I kept going. I did a Juniper networking course, and I did a cert for that, and I did an AZ 900 then, right? In the middle of all this, then I found an offer, right, from a company called Cloud Skills, from a guy called Mike Pfeiffer. Mike, wherever you are, advertising AZ 104. And what did I do? Of course I did. I bookmarked it. I said, I'm going to get back to that, right? So bookmarked it. I bought the course though, right, for whatever it was, $7 or $8. So I knew I had to go back to it. So I went back to it, and it was Mike and Tim Warner talking about AZ 104, given the course, and did that in February. And that led me into the Cloud Skills family and the mentoring program and all that sort of stuff, where I met guys like you and Derek and Robin and Kevin and Chris and Andre.
So for people who don't know, Mike did a kind of mentoring thing. Mike Pfeiffer did a kind of mentoring thing that certain people signed up to, and myself and Michael were part of that, and that was amazing.
He asked me to join.
There you go.
Like, seriously. And I was kind of going, what, like, mate, what do you see in me? And he saw something in me. He obviously saw something in me. And listen, and it's something that I'm always thankful for, right? That he did see something in me, because you know Mike, and it's not just, it's a gentle push in the right direction. It's like, why don't you do this? It's almost like a seed that he put in the back of all of our heads, individually, to say, go do this, have a think about that. And the light bulb moment came out, and that's where the blogging and that's where the community stuff, that's where it all kind of kicked off for me.
Brilliant. So now, so after that, what was the thing you did after that? Did you start doing more Azure exams, or where are you working at this point? No, you still, you're furloughed, obviously, but
so in the middle of all the. So when I started off, when I was coming back through COVID or whatever, I was working at Ericsson as a contractor, big company. That's what introduced me to stuff like Agile, Kanban, all that sort of stuff. So then moved in when I did the Azure exam, moved job out of Ericsson because I was only working as a contractor there. Moved to a company called Echo, small Irish MSP, great company. Hi to all the guys there, and stayed with them for a year. And in the middle of that, I did so I did the Azure Virtual Desktop exam. I did the SC 300, the identity exam. Then after that, just again, kind of heighten the skills.
So you got the bug for the cloud now? Was that what it is? You've got the bug to learn more Azure?
Got the bug for the cloud, got the bug to learn more Azure. And then in the middle of all of that, of course, when I was in the middle of the mentoring stuff, Mike just threw things. And why aren't you blogging? Why aren't you doing something? And like most people who are trying to get into blogging, I turned around and I said, who's going to want to listen to me? Who's going to want to know what I say? Because
what we're going to write about is different.
Exactly.
Why me?
And why me? And we've all been there. And, people are going to listen to your, and that's what he convinced me of, was that people are going to listen to your perspective. People are going to want to know, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, Microsoft will write you learn and docs and technical documentation, and it's based on best practice and based on whatever. But there's no perfect world and there's no perfect scenario as to how people implement things or tie things together, or if there's hybrid or whatever else. And there's always going to be someone out there who's going to have a really zany use case that is going to be interested in someone else's perspective if they happen to be, and it might be only 1 or 2 or 5 people in the world or who are running an environment who have the same zany use case. But if you get to that, and that's going back to the laziness thing, where I was kind of, when I was doing the sysadmin journey or whatever, I was Googling and I was finding guys like, Mike Pfeiffer and Jeff Hicks and, all these sorts of guys, and I was just taking their answers, and they were either answering my question or they were giving me the opportunity to involve their answer into my own one, but then I wasn't giving back. And that's amazingly rewarding when you give back and when you can, give that back and help someone. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's where the blogging kicked off.
Yeah. To be honest, Luke Murray's on the call, and I come across his blog quite regularly. So shout out to you, Luke. But I always find myself I find myself on Luke's blog quite a lot, just from randomly googling stuff. So shout out to everybody who blogs. Yeah. Blogging's not difficult, not easy though. I think it's quite difficult to get started.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep it going, and it's difficult to keep consistent with it.
Motivation is really difficult to begin with. You've either got motivation or you haven't.
Yeah, and I've talked to people about this who were asking me, how did you get into blogging? And I think you have to have a certain plan, because I was kind of blogging on and off and doing bits, and then I went into the 100 days of cloud thing, which I kind of took off my own bat to do, and that kind of gave me a plan, because you've got a limitless amount of services, and you go along like
commit to doing it.
You commit to doing it. That's where I ended up doing the AZ800 801 stuff. I did AZ204 out of that, the developer, which I never would have done, and which interestingly enough, I'm actually using that exclusively in my job now at the minute. Which it's because I actually, a couple of months ago, I had considered not renewing it. It's like, well, I was in a conversation on LinkedIn with, I think, Dwayne Nattick and Joe Carlisle about this, and it was kind of 2 different sides. Like, is it easier to renew, or if you're not using it, do you bother renewing it? And
it's a good. Yeah, I would always say renew it, just because it's. I wouldn't want to have to do the exam again. You never know. Somebody might say, "Do you have this exam?" And you're like, "Well, I had it, but I don't have it now." And then you have to do the exam again.
Then
nobody wants to do exams, so. The renewal process is fairly easy, fairly straightforward.
It is. It's pretty cool. Yeah, have to say it is.
Now you've done all that, what would you say is your best achievement for exams? What, obviously the dev one. Is the dev one your biggest achievement, would you say? Or which one did you think, this is amazing that I've actually passed it?
Dev.
Did it surprise you?
Absolutely dev, because I
You've got an ops background, haven't you?
I'm a pure sysadmin, ops, hardware, compute, storage, virtualization sort of guy, and I never would have dreamed of doing something like that. And that was kind of part of the. I made that part of the whole 100 days of cloud thing as well, but that was part of the challenge.
Did you choose the content for that?
Yes.
100 days. Okay.
Yeah, I went purely off on the content. Bit of prompting from Mike and a couple of guys in the background as well, but it was purely my learnings.
Yeah. Now I'm hearing a lazy guy pushing himself. So
and you suddenly you're suddenly getting a sense of fulfillment, and you're getting to realize that there's opportunities out there. Number one, number two, people want to listen to you. Okay, and the feedback that you're giving, you're contributing back into the community. Then that I'd been taking so much out of for 20 years anonymously. Okay, and there's still people like that, and some people don't want to be front and center and personal lives and don't have the time to do this sort of thing. But it's amazingly rewarding. It really is.
Any regrets on being so lazy, or does it not matter now because of where you are? It's worked out now.
I think it's worked out now. I think that it's it's come for me at a good time because
Yeah.
I'm,
Sounds like it.
yeah, and I'm at a time in my life where I've stopped kind of okay, I've just moved job, but I'm very happy with what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
My family, I've got a wife and 2 kids. We moved around a little bit between houses, and we're finally settled for a couple of years now. They're a little bit older. There's a bit less pressure and
Going
stuff
on.
like that. So
Yeah.
it gives me the opportunity. And all of a sudden they're kind of like, dad's going back into the office at night to do whatever he does, sitting on his laptop and that sort of stuff.
Watch Netflix.
But some nights I just
Oh,
come
you
in here and
do?
watch Netflix
Yeah.
because you got to do
Totally.
it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and but like, look, you can't look back. You can't change the past. You just
Totally.
got to embrace the future and do what you got to do. So yeah.
So if you think lockdown hadn't happened and you hadn't bumped into Mike Pfeiffer's courses, do you think you'd be where you are now, or do you think you probably would have got motivated yourself, or what? Don't know. Tough question. Who knows?
That's the sliding doors moment. I'm always grateful to that mad scientist in Wuhan who set off all this chaos around the world, because he's really helped me.
I actually remember being on a call with Mike and you and like maybe 15 people, and you were just like, might do blogging, and now look at you, you've got a blog, you've got you're on here, you're doing talks, you've got a great job at Avanade.
Yeah,
You fairly turned that round.
You turn it around, and I think, I suppose, first piece of advice, I've talked about giving back and whatever else, but there is a sense of imposter syndrome there when you're coming from where I came from into the journey. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of, obviously, there's a lot of guys in that course were younger and they were driven and maybe didn't have the commitments or whatever else. But that's the great thing about community, and community is, no matter what, shape, size, color, religion, sex, whatever you are, whatever you identify yourself as, the community, we're one community, and that's and it's an embracing community. And I've got friends right throughout the spectrum. I've made some wonderful friends throughout the community.
That's the best part of it for me, making all these friends. Indeed. So you became an MVP, what, April Fools?
I still don't believe it. Really don't. I was an April Fool's MVP.
Did you have, before you were an MVP, did you have visions of ever becoming an MVP? When did you find out what an MVP was? Because I didn't know what an MVP was for ages, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Well, this is interesting."
Yeah, you obviously see it floating around, and you see it floating around. When you're Googling and looking for solutions, and I'm an MVP, and what's an MVP, and you think, okay, right, that's important, most valuable professional, but you don't really look into what it is, what it means. I eternally grateful. I mean, seriously, wasn't, and I know a lot of people say this, right? This kind of it's like an Oscar.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting this. Thank you so much, but genuinely, I was not expecting it, because this was my first nomination. This is my first rodeo, and big kudos, shout out to Matthew Brown, who nominated me, and Alan Canan and Joe Carlisle and Kevin Green, all the Irish guys who stepped me through this, and all everyone, yourself, Derek, Robin, Kevin, all the guys who really supported me along the way, and tips, and Charlie, almost forgot Charlie. Sorry, hi Charlie. Charlie obviously got his MVP a couple of months before I did, but so it's, and that's the thing, again, it's community. That's what it is. But I'm still in a bit of shock. I have to be honest.
Have you gotten used to it yet, or is it still no? Too busy with a new job.
I started the new job last week in Feb, and so I was kind of 5 weeks, and until I received the MVP award. And with any new job, right, you're always going to be hit with this avalanche of information, right? You come to a company like Avanade, super company, but you're kind of you're thrown in. You've got about 4, 5, 6 weeks of training, and you're getting onto projects, and you're trying to work out how the ecosystem works, and because it's a big company, you're trying to work out who's who and whatever else. So that's a absolute avalanche. It's a good avalanche now, but it's an avalanche.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, your head's kind of slowing down a little bit, and then all of a sudden, bang,
Oof.
that email lands in your inbox, and you're kind of going, "Oh
Yeah,
my god,
I think it took me
this is
like it probably took me about a year to figure out what all this huge amount of emails was all about and what the fuss was about, and I was just like, I can't cope with this. There's too many emails, and I probably
yeah."
still struggle with the amount of emails that you get.
And and I think I've done one speaking engagement
Okay,
since then,
since
since
when
I
you want to
received
show
the
it out,
MVP, and that's it. I haven't blogged, I haven't done
yeah,
anything. I've done bits on LinkedIn, and
yeah,
there's other bits going on or whatever. But
yeah.
yeah, I think it's just taken. I think a lot of people have said that to me. It takes a lot of
Oh
time
yeah,
just to
it
settle in
does.
and get used to the idea, I suppose.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it does take. Yeah, there's quite a few people I've seen like that. I was like that. I was just like, what is this? Because you get all
yeah,
the emails at the start, and you're like trying to figure out, well, where do you fit in, and how can I help, and what are all these opportunities that you get to talk about?
yeah. Yeah, and you don't realize then, you've got so many emails and so many benefits, and you don't get into it with NDA obviously, but there's so much stuff that's available to you, and you kind of forget some of it sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
you
yeah,
might, yeah,
yep. Have to be
yeah,
careful.
go
Yeah,
off and buy a license for yourself, and you suddenly realize, oh, I have one of those.
yeah.
It's
So you
yeah.
started a new job. How's that going? What have you been up to in that?
So um,
What's your title and where are you working? Just for people who don't know.
so I work for Avanade, UK and Ireland. Hello to everyone
Mhm.
there. If you've tuned in, I asked you all to tune in. You better have tuned in. You better watch this back. um,
Careful what you say now.
working for working for Avanade as an Azure cloud architect. Like you know, because Avanade is so tightly entwined with Microsoft, and
Yeah,
because we're a Microsoft house, this is this is dreamland
I
for
was going to
a
say, is
guy
this
like
dream
me.
job? Yeah,
Yeah, and you're kind of like not even dream job, but dream company, right? The
right.
job is brilliant, and there's so much opportunity there. Um, we're hiring. Ping me afterwards. Absolutely. I come work with me.
Nick, cut this bit
Come
out.
work with me.
It's
Cool
fine.
guys. Like
No joke.
yeah, it's cut this bit out. But yeah, like and it's pure Azure, and it's pure. Like there's
So you're doing what you want to do
it's
day to day, basically. Yeah,
I'm doing what I want to do. And you talk about that developer exam, right?
yeah.
Like where I was looking at stuff like app service and API
Cosmos
management and
DB and
Cosmos
SQL. Yeah.
and SQL
Web
and
apps. Yeah.
yeah, and all this sort of stuff, and yeah. And I'm working on a project now where I'm using all of that,
All of it. Good.
absolutely all of it. And it's just, you suddenly kind of, it's a little bit scary at first, because if you've only done it as an exam and you've only done it in your own Azure subscription in a
Yeah.
lab, and all of a sudden you're doing this at enterprise scale, and you're kind of going,
Mm-hmm.
someone asks you a question like, what level of consistency are you going to use in your Cosmos DB? And it's like,
Uh-huh.
wait,
Yeah.
I know the answer to this. so,
That's me
so
every
like,
day.
so suddenly you're kind of like, it's like, it's all coming back to you, and your subconscious kicks in, and you're just, yeah, but I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah, and working with a great bunch of people there as well, and yeah,
I think you need to be happy in your job. So yeah, I've got the same. I'm working with Azure every single day, and I'm learning every single day. And if that ever
oh
stops,
yeah,
I'll move. But why would I move when I'm doing what I want to do every day of the week? And unless if you're not
yeah,
in a job, it's easy to say, but if you're not in a job doing what you want to do all of the
yeah,
time, then I think that you should try and find that job. Obviously, that's easy
yeah,
to say, but yeah, once you find
yeah,
that job, you'll just know. You know what I mean? You just know that this is what you want to do. So that's awesome to hear.
yeah, you
Good,
do.
good, good.
And
Everyone says
look,
good things about Avanan, so that's good. So
yeah, and yeah, look, a great company, great organization. Yeah,
delighted that
and
you've
again, I'm
joined somewhere.
working purely with Azure. I would have done a lot of 365, and
Mm-hmm.
when you're working with kind of like private companies and smaller organizations, you kind of you're kind of a jack of all trades, and
Yeah,
you do everything.
yeah.
Whereas with this, I'm doing what I want to do, doing what I've been studying for, what I've been training for, what I've kind of
Yeah. So it's all
been
paying
trying
off.
to do. Yeah, it's all paying off. It's all paying
Brilliant.
off for me. And I feel very lucky.
Any
Yeah.
any other exams you've got in the near future? Anything coming up?
No.
No, not really.
I've a lot of exams that I would like to do, but I'm not
Okay.
too bothered about doing them
Aye, aye.
because
I'm the same. I'm the same. Yeah.
yeah, to be honest, I kind of looked at the. I keep going back to the 204, right? Because
Mhm.
I'm actually very proud of the 204 above anything
Yeah.
because it's like got the 204 and you study your ass off for 204 to try and understand the concepts, learn the concepts, and it doesn't matter what the number is,
Yeah.
pass the pass, whatever else. But now suddenly I'm working with the stuff and I'm kind of like, okay, I could go back and I could probably do 204 in the morning because I'm, you know,
Doing it every day.
you're doing it every day. And when you're
Yeah.
working with it every day, it's different, and
Yeah.
like, and work doing a lot of Azure DevOps as well, doing a lot of Terraform, pipelines, change control, management, all this sort of stuff. So all of a sudden now I'm looking at AZ400 in a
Okay.
different light, where it was a very scary exam to me, let's say 12 months ago. It's now suddenly like, yeah, right, maybe I could do that, and maybe I'll go do 700, and maybe I'll go do, this, and maybe I'll go and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
one of the other 132 specialty certs that Microsoft have got, in the
Yep. Yep.
ecosystem
Yep.
at the minute. Yeah, I think with exams you could go down an awful rabbit hole and just
Yeah. Yeah.
go do, you could spend your life doing exams,
It's
right?
good that you
And
did
I'm not,
the 204. Yeah.
yeah, but I suppose I kind of did the exams that I needed to do to get to where I am, I
Yes.
suppose, right?
Same.
And I'm
Same.
and I'm not, and that's not to say to my current company that if I start doing exams again, I'm looking to move on. It's something to do with that, because I've
Yeah.
suddenly found myself in a position where I'm in that happy medium where I could either do an exam because I want to learn, or I can do an exam because of what I've learned, and that's the two
Yes.
different ways of
Yes.
coming at it, really. So yeah,
It's like
yeah,
I don't know networking, and I never. No, I'm a dev guy. You're an ops guy. You know networking. I don't. So
yeah, yeah,
but I was, and part of my job was architecting, obviously, and everyone's networking, and I was like, I really need to learn this. So I
yeah,
kind of did the job for a wee while, and then went, right, I need to go and learn this. So I did AZ700, and I passed, but I probably just passed. But the reason why I
yeah.
did it is I wanted to try and fill in little bits of gaps in my knowledge. I mean, I'm never going to be a networking guru. I'm not like Carol Cook or anything like that. That's never happening.
Carl
Yeah,
is always bugging me about networking. He said, yeah, you have to
yeah,
go to 700, like a brilliant
I know
exam,
enough
and I just
to
give
be
it up.
dangerous,
Yeah,
which will do
yeah,
me, and yeah. So I did that exam just to try and fill in some gaps. The 400
yeah,
is actually an interesting exam because it's not what I
yeah,
thought. I did the beta when it first came out, thinking it was all Azure DevOps pipelines and all that, and it wasn't at all. Back in the day,
yeah.
when I did the beta, it was all Jenkins, and I was like, "What is this? What's this all
Mm,
about?" And it was
okay.
like TFS questions, and I'm like, "Oh, I've totally got the wrong end of the stick here." But yeah,
How,
204.
how, how, how do you find the beta exams? I love them.
Uh, well, when I was doing these beta exams, I didn't have enough Azure experience, so I
Hmm,
struggled with some of them. But I did manage to pass most of them. I didn't pass 400 the first time. I think I actually passed it the third time I did it because I just
okay.
didn't really know the content that well. The
Yeah,
second time I went to do it, they added containers just before I hadn't done containers, and it was like they started doing all these Docker questions,
yeah,
and I was like, "Yeah, I've not
yeah,
went into that yet." This is a while back, obviously, before when
yeah,
400 first came out. But 400 is an interesting one. Very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you done that, or are you thinking about doing it?
Thinking about doing 400. I was just thinking they'd container stuff and they'd AKS stuff on 104 as well, but now they've stripped it all out.
Yeah,
So
they're kind of changing them
they reckon
again.
there's another speciality one coming for AKS and containers now down the line as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, there's definitely a container apps one coming.
yeah,
Hands on. That's all I'm going to say. It's
yeah,
a hands on exam. It's not
yeah.
anything to do with like. There's no questions. It's hands on, so you have to build stuff, which is going
Because
to be great.
all the labs are coming back now into all of
Yeah,
the exams. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I haven't done an exam for a while, but I think I've had enough of them.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
let's
You
talk
do.
about
You get the point.
LinkedIn Learning. You got yeah, Richard as a service. You're right. That's LinkedIn Learning. You got involved in that. How's tell me about that. What are you doing for LinkedIn Learning
Got
course?
involved in LinkedIn Learning, yeah. So first, in the process of finishing off my first course, which is an AZ801 course.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully that's going to go live in the next couple of months. Yeah, I love the LinkedIn Learning process.
First time you've
It's
ever
very
built a
relaxed.
course?
First time I've built a course, they make it really, really easy for you. Yeah,
So
great.
what kind of new skills have you learned? Did you have to plan it all out and work with people and deadlines
Had
and
to
all that good stuff?
had to plan it all out, and it's interesting when you're writing a video course. You think you're going to get you think you're going to get to do lots of video editing and lots of cool stuff and cutting, and it's like, no, there's
They do
none
it
of
all
that.
for you.
But they do it all for you. But what
Yeah.
happens is you have to script everything that you're going
And
to
just
say,
record it.
and you have to do the
Yeah.
slides. And that freaked me out a little bit, because
Yeah.
but I'm just going to go fly by the seat of my pants here. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
you
you
kind of lose
can't do
control a
that.
little bit. There's good
You
and
can, yeah.
bad points to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because you do that, and you send your test video over. It's like, Michael, this is 12 minutes. Like, this isn't going to work. You
Needs to be
got to
5.
script it out. You got to spit it out. You got to get it under 5. And I'm kind
Yeah,
of,
it's tricky.
it is tricky, yeah, but it's a good experience. It's a good control experience as well. It's great for
Yeah.
if you want to go off and do training, kind of keeping stuff to the point, and for presentations, and if you're
And
doing
how did
speaking.
you get? Who told you about how to get involved in LinkedIn Learning training? Was it Carol or?
Got referred by Carl. Yeah,
Oh.
Carl was in the middle of doing courses, and he got contacted by his producer, or one of the senior producers over there, Jeff Kellum, who we know Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, yeah, Jeff's a guy.
Yeah, and Jeff reached out to me, and Jeff got me involved. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's
Enjoying it?
Yeah, I am enjoying it. Yeah, I am enjoying it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the finished product's going to be.
Yeah, I'll give you a laugh. So I still heard them saying we'll do the slides and the editing, and I still put some effort into the slides, and then I thought these look really good. The transitions are all good. Everyone looks nice. Sent it off to them, and they were like, "Yeah, we're binning all that," and I'm like, "What? We're binning it all?" And then I saw it, and I was like, "Oh wow! Like absolutely everything got binned. All the slides, just the voiceovers. That was it." I was like, "Wow!"
All the fancy animations that you put into it, it's like, no, don't bother with that. We're binning that. That's a load of crap. Like,
I thought they'd edit like bits of it. I didn't think they'd scrap the whole lot, and I was like, "What? Really? They'd scrap the whole lot?"
Oh, it's cool.
So I tell everybody who's doing that,
it's brilliant.
Don't make it look good, because they'll just
yeah. And I learned that very late. Other than that, my course would have been out there 3 months at this stage. But you finally go, it's like, no, you don't need any of that.
Other than people dressing up as dinosaurs, what's the best part of the community, do you think?
Are we really going to talk about dinosaurs? Really? Because I'm afraid to go to Prague because of am I going to be pulled into the I hear there's a herd of dinosaurs going to Prague.
Silly enough to get pulled into that gig.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd go for that. I'd make a day trip just to see that.
Yeah, for people who don't know what we're talking about, Nick, who's on here, had a kind of tweet battle with Simon, and then he's like, somebody's going to dress up as a dinosaur, and Simon said, yes, I'll do it. So now Simon has to stand up on the stage and dress up as a dinosaur and dance in front of about 400 people, which is...
And before you suggested, Nick, no, I'm not going dressing up as anything. I'm going as me if I'm going. That's it. Apart from that, what else is going on? I'm trying to get back into blogging, because blogging is my first love. It's my first love. Yeah, I've gotten to a point where I can probably, I'm comfortable with blogging. I'm comfortable behind it.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of Azure, so yeah.
Doing a lot of Azure, learned a lot. I probably have a lot to give back. I've never really been comfortable with the YouTube presentation thing. Don't know why exactly, Nick. I'll bring my hat. I'll come as I'll come as Don Draper going to the Hamptons in 1968 on his holidays. It's a brilliant idea. There's the hat for those of you who haven't seen it yet. It's very summery.
I find blogging difficult, to be honest. I find it difficult to go back into it.
What I found with blogging was I got myself a dictaphone, and because I could go out for walks with the dog,
just talk about
runs, and something will come into your head, or I could be in the car, and you just pick up the dictaphone. It's like, okay, right, that's a good sentence that I could use in the blog, and then you're just talking it out, and then eventually you just play it back, or transcribes for you or whatever, and that's kind of because your mind's always kind of turned on anyway. Mine is, you just go ahead and do it. So yeah, the blogging's coming up. Trying to get into the speaker circuit a bit.
Right. So,
Did Festive Tech, obviously, for you
yeah,
guys, pre-recorded. Did Global Azure in Dublin. Very late notice of that. Thanks to Alan Canan for dragging me that with 24 hours notice to,
nice one.
talk about, into the fire there. But yeah, great experience. Really enjoyed it.
Good.
Went to, so also, trying to get into the speaker circle with user groups. I'm going with Carl, I think, next month. I want to go over to Glasgow to you guys, actually. So I'll talk to you about that,
Well,
because
yeah. So, yeah, I need some speakers coming up, so I might be in touch.
do that. Give me a
Are
call.
you doing Azure back to school?
Doing Azure back to school with Dwayne and Derek. Yeah.
Let me just put that in chat if everybody's. Yeah, let me just find that again, because if nobody's.
Yeah, sign up. You have to sign up for that.
I need to find the URL. I should have had that handy. Azure back to school. Here we go. Yeah, so that's the call for speakers for this finishes the end of this month, and everyone who signs up gets to take part. So it's like always yes. So the trick is there's a wee trick to the speaker circuit. Having ran some events, you need to kind of know the people who run these events. That's the sneaky tactic.
Yeah, you need to reach out, say hello. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's easier when you know the people who run it. They know who you are. They know that you've done presentations, and you've got a better chance. Lots of people get rejected and take it to heart that they're not good enough, or their sessions. Half the time it's nothing to do with that. That's the problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like Izzy rejected me for Experts Live, and I haven't forgiven her yet. But it's because my session was crap.
No, don't say that.
It is. No, but it's funny, right? Now I was going to bring up about the speaking thing. I know Nick was there as well. He'll vouch for this. Nick and myself went to the Microsoft Community Speakers Day over in Manchester a couple of months ago, run by Luke Evans, Zoe Wilson, my Avanade colleagues, and Sarah Fenna. Brilliant, right? And really gives you a good insight into what session organizers are looking for in a session, and what they're trying to do. And just heads up, they're running another all-day workshop before South Coast Summit. So well worth anyone, if you want to get down for a day, if you're trying to break into the speaker circuit, or reach out to them. It is difficult. Oh, it's difficult. Yeah, and you're going to get rejected. There's going to be a massive amount of rejection, and that's what this is all about. Like, don't expect that, and that's the thing. Look at me. I'm a new MVP. I would like to speak at Ignite, please. No, it doesn't work like that, mate. Sorry. Just because you've got the 3 letters after your name doesn't mean anything at all.
It's difficult for new speakers. It really is. I like the fact that there's lots of data conferences having new speaker events and stuff like that. I really like that stuff. That's really good.
Yeah. And there's a lot of slots as well for new speakers in all these different events.
Really tricky if you're starting out.
But I suppose the thing to say to people as well is, go to conferences. Don't just apply to a conference and get rejected and say, well, I'm not going there because you wouldn't accept me. Go, because that's how that's how we met face to face. We'd known each other. Obviously, I got over to Scotland last year, got down to South Coast, and met yourself and John and James
Simon
Cook and Simon and Derek and Charlie and all those guys. And you make connections in the community and you make friends, and
that's the way to go, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
People networking.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get out there, get to conferences, and go up to the speakers afterwards. Whoever's doing speaking, get up, talk to them. Say hello, introduce yourself.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I met Neil McLaughlin, met Peter Rising last year. Fantastic guys. Still in contact.
Did you meet them at South Coast Summit?
Met them at South Coast. Yeah.
Are you going this year?
Plan is to go this year. Yeah. I know they've moved to the Farnborough this year. So
have you got any event? You got any talking events coming up? Are you doing any talks lined up at the moment?
The only one I've got lined up is for Limerick.net, which is next month, which is, I think, end of next month. I'll talk to you about Glasgow at some point. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
would love
Definitely.
to
I'll reach
love to
out
come
to you.
over and say hello. After that, yeah, I'm just reaching out to people, not really pushing it as such, but yeah, looking to kind of break into that. But I've got, obviously, I said, as you're back to school, if you're on Festive Tech again this year, I'll do Festive Tech again.
Yeah, I'll
And
be running Festive
yeah,
Tech. Yeah, so I'll
yeah,
need to start.
yeah,
Need to start promoting that shortly. Actually,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's next month.
Cool. What's next month?
I don't know what's next month. Nick, must be. Is it South Coast Summit or something? I don't know. What's this? This is July.
Scottish Summit. Scottish Summit is next month.
Scottish Summit. Okay,
yeah,
the one that's
I'm
in
going to miss
Manchester.
that. Yeah, Scottish Summit in Manchester. Yeah, how do you feel about that? As a
I
Scotsman,
was a little bit confused by that, but then they put the on tour bit, and I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, Carol's user group is next month. There we go.
Carol's user group next week, is it? Okay, he needs to tell me then.
No, next week, not next month. Okay, so you've got
okay, all right. Okay, Carol's going to be calling me after this then. Okay, cool.
That's good. Any holidays planned?
That's why I'm missing Scottish Summit. We're going to Italy, where it's currently 48 degrees.
46 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, and we're flying via Gatwick, and the 2 weekends we're flying, they're having strikes. So look, if we get there, we get there. If not, we'll go to the Holiday Inn in Gatwick for a week and just live
there. Where in Italy are you going?
Sicily.
Nice.
Going to Sicily with family and stuff.
We've got a colleague in Rome, and our faces looked really red this week because the heat must be. He's like, it's really beautiful, but really, really warm.
I'm just looking out here at the bucketing rain, and it's like,
it's dry just now, but it's been
typical Irish summer. Yeah, typical UK Ireland summer, isn't it? Yeah. About 3 weeks.
I've got one question that I like to ask everybody from going forward. Mike Pfeiffer used to talk about the North Star. Did you ever come up with your North Star? Did you ever have one? Or not everyone talks about it, but did you ever come up with anything like
that? I had some crazy North Stars, right, that I kind of aspired to. And, one of them was kind of retire by the time I was 60, right? Which, okay, that's a kind of a distant one.
Not a good one
to be honest. Yeah, to be honest, my North Star back then was where I am now.
Right.
And that's where I want to be. I want to be in this role. Want to be working consistently with Azure.
Mr. Pfeiffer would be very proud of you.
Enjoying what I'm doing, enjoying what I do, and that's awesome. Kind of the biggest thing. That's what's kind of important to me.
Because I remember when we were on a call during that inner circle, and you were like, "I don't know what I want to do next." Now look at you.
Yeah,
now you're in your ideal job. So that's good to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, and look, it doesn't have to be. Like at the minute, my North Stars, my other North Stars. Look, everyone's got North Stars outside there. But like I'm not one of these. Yeah, I'm not. I don't own a BMW, or I don't want to. I don't want a a flipping. I don't want a Rolex, or I've got a Garmin, and I drive a Peugeot. Like, so that's kind of that's
my kind of guy.
That's me. That's the thing. Like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Just as long as I'm happy in my life, happy with what I'm doing, as long as my family's happy, that's the main thing.
Do you think you would go to MVP Summit next year if you can get the chance?
Yeah, heard from a lot of people that Ignite wasn't as good as previous years, and I'm just hearing such good things about Summit. So Summit is definitely on the cards for next year. I know that we're there's a kind of a group of us that didn't get to go, obviously, because I got MVP 2 weeks before Summit. So
2 weeks before it was way too short.
Yeah. So I think with Dan McLaughlin and Charlie and Matthew Brown over here, and a few of those guys that didn't get to go. We're all going to say, right, we're all gonna go next year. Yeah.
So the plan is
you got your business class upgrade, didn't you? You got your first class upgrade out of Dublin, didn't you? No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
I heard you were sweet talking air hostesses for that.
No. So it was weird because I thought I'll fly from Dublin so I can clear the US border patrol. So I thought I'll try that and see what it's like. And then I was like, you know what? I was talking to my mum, and she's like, why don't you fly business class and just see how much it is? And I was like, right. I went on, it was £1,400, and I was like, yeah, that's not happening. And then there's a wee bit where you can go in and on their website, you can go in and like bid for it. So I was like
Yeah.
620 to 1420, and I was like, I'm not paying anything stupid. So I thought, well, 620, we'll get a try.
620,
And about 2 weeks later, I got, you're the only person who's tried it, and so you won it. And I was like, brilliant.
Nice. Yeah.
That was phenomenal, to be honest with you. The plane toilets broke down before we took off, so they were still plying us with drinks. So that was very interesting. We sat in the runway for 3 hours, which was not the best, but I would do that again. I would pay that in my own pocket because that was amazing.
So what were you going to say? Someone was brilliant, though, was it? Yeah, really, really.
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely brilliant. Like nothing. I had kind of low expectations because there was no swag that Ignite and stuff like that. And Ignite just wasn't really. There wasn't really a good buzz about it. But MVP Summit was lots to show you next time. Lots to see.
Ignite is 2 days again this year, so
I'm still going to go, but I'm still going to go because I do like Seattle, and Ignite will be better because I think Build was pretty good, and they've learned their lessons from the previous one.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Any other conferences you're going to this year? Got plans to go to anything?
No, mentioned South Coast. Still on the fence about Prague.
Try and get to Express Live Europe if you can.
I'm trying to. That's kind of work dependent, but absolutely trying to get there. Other than that, nothing really planned. I think it's just kind of getting to see people, getting to talk to people. That's the thing, really. Yeah, see what happens, see what goes down. Yeah.
Brilliant, right, Michael? Thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. If there's anyone who would like to come on, if there's anyone else who'd like to come on, there's the link there. You just need to go to that link on the screen and let me get into the comment, and then you can fill that in, and then we can jump on a live show and catch up. Hopefully, I'll bump into you at some point before. Hopefully, Prague. That would be good. That's
Prague would be good. Yeah,
September. That would be good.
Simon might need help getting into his. Simon might need help getting into his suit, so I'm willing to
jump
help
in his suitcase and just come with.
If you can get the tag off.
Yeah, cool. Right, tomorrow I have Mark Duker on, who's going to be talking about Dapper and doing some demos in C#, so that should be good. Thanks again, Michael. I'm just going to play a little video and then we shall wrap it up. So thank you for coming on.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Gregor.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Let me just play this wee video. We just click end broadcast.